Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Majarison, a space for honest stories, tender truths, and soul-deep conversations. I'm your host, Julie Majarison, and here we explore the questions that stir something real in us. Questions about joy, fear, healing, and the moments that shape who we are. Each episode is an invitation to slow down, go deeper, and hear the kind of stories that remind us we're not alone in this human experience. So wherever you are right now, thank you for being here. Let's begin. Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Majarison podcast. This is episode 50, and it's going to be me, a solo episode. And I really feel like it is time to be in gratitude that Heartfelt with Julie Majarison is still up and running. And I am so grateful for everyone who has watched and is watching. And I just hope that you have felt the love from me, the heartfelt from me, that it has brought about over the last year, 1 year, and I'm still out there sharing my story and also hearing so many wonderful stories from my guests. And I just am so grateful that I have this opportunity and the support that I receive from my husband has been very noticed. So thank you, Russell. I just want to talk about something that I feel that I don't really speak very openly about. I have this ongoing, I'm going to call it a concern about how things have shifted in the world and how the ripple effect is affecting so many people. And this has really opened my eyes up to see how other people live. And I know I have to stay in my fence because everyone navigates their journey the way that they choose to, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. But in this last week, there has been a lot showing up for me, as in how people engage with food. And I spend a lot of time at the supermarket. It does amaze me how people choose to nourish their bodies, and whether it is consciously or unconsciously, it is something that has been bubbling up inside me internally. And I just want to unpack what I see. And what I see doesn't mean that it's actually everyone's truth, but it's just where I am navigating my world and how I see things. So I'm very much about nourishing myself, my body, mind, soul, and spirit, and being connected with what is going to bring me joy, love, light, happiness. And the light that I talk about is what actually makes my body sing and feel warm and cozy and just feel nourished. So I can remember when I was first studying Raina massage back in 2016 that I set this intention that I want to nourish my body and be really wholesome with it. Now, that really took a lot of unpacking, and I still am unpacking it 10 years later. I look back at when my mum and my nan used to talk about the olden days, how they would go to the markets once a month and they would get their bag of flour, their box of apples, their groceries that would last them for a whole month. And I know times have changed and the electricity is more available and shops are just 5 minutes away nowadays. But it made me realize this morning how society has changed, how we all want something now and we don't put the effort. And I know I'm saying we, and I should talk about I. So I'm going to bring it back to I. I feel that life is very different back then. And being able to have the time to make your bread, to make your cakes, to make your biscuits, to, even when it comes to you feeling like something savory, like some chips. It used to have to be you peeled the potato, you would then cut it up into either where you're going to have the potato mashed, where you're going to have it baked, where you're going to have it like crispy, like potato chips. And then you would cook it in tallow and salt, and that would be your chips. And it was a process to do your own manufacturing. And I can see how wholesome that is and was. But now, fast forward 60, 70 years later, you can now just feel like some chips and off you go to the shop or the pantry and get your packet of crisps. But now they don't actually have just tallow, potato, and salt. There are so many additives to it. Does that have an effect on the body? I'm curious to see how this is affecting the human body. I always like cooking and making cakes, and they don't last as long as the bought cakes. But I feel that they are healthier because they don't have those preservatives in it. They don't have to be on a shelf in a supermarket and be transported there. So all these additives, whatever they are, has there been actually research on how it affects the whole self, how it affects the body, the body's nourishment? Then that makes me question why so many people are needing medication. Is it because of all the chemicals? Is it because of all the preservatives and the additives in food? Is it because we're just living older? We're living longer, or is it our body actually can't cope with all these packet foods? And that is something that I have decided many years ago, and being celiac and learning to read labels and actually see what goes in the products. My nan used to make Anzac biscuits, and I can still remember what was in that. And I've made them many times. There was rolled oats, there was the sugar, the butter, and the vanilla, and the flour. However many products. I'm going to say 5 products in it, and I might have left out some ingredients. But then when you're walking down the grocery aisle and you see Anzac biscuits and you still enjoy the Anzac biscuits, you pick up the packet and that is more convenient. You don't have to get the mix master out. You don't have to buy all the ingredients. It's so called cheaper and so much quicker than having to, do all the washing up, allowing that time to make those biscuits. Because in society at the moment, I can see how time poor people are. So having that quicker convenience is easier. But I still like to actually make things. I like to go into the garden and pick things. I like to make things from scratch. I make my own face cream, I make my own deodorant, and I have just noticed since reading labels what actually goes in the products. Some names I don't even know what they are. And we're just mindlessly opening our mouth, putting it on our skin, and not actually knowing what it is doing to our whole self. I see people choosing diet things or sugar-free things or low-fat things. Are they meant to be better? I wonder. I'm really, really curious on what you see and how your body actually feels when you are having a wholesome meal to a packet meal, or you're going through the takeaway. I have, in my self-discovery journey, been really feeling into what brings my whole self joy. And before I went low carb, I I was very aware of I was eating food that was really upsetting me, but I just chose to ignore it. I might have to take a tablet for it because it was making my body angry. And then I just kept on in that spiral of doing the same to my body. Then I realized that that's not being very conscious. So, over the last, I'm going to say 6 years, really 6 years, even though I was diagnosed in 1998 being celiac, I know the last 6 years I have really, really looked at everything that I eat. With the sugar, I hear people say, I don't have sugar. I don't put sugar in my tea. And then they will grab a biscuit and it's a manufactured biscuit. And if you look at the first four ingredients, it's all just sugar. So even though they're not having actual sugar in their tea and they feel like they're having a sugar-free diet because they're physically not getting sugar out of the packet and putting in their tea, they're not seeing how much sugar they're actually eating. Even when it comes to sauces, if you read the labels and see vinegar, sugar, glucose, there is just sugar, sugar, sugar. Now, I feel like the whole society, and I know this is a blanket statement, but I feel like deep down the whole society knows sugar should be in moderation. We know sugar is not good for our body, but it is hidden in so many things. And seed oils are a new thing that has been brought out for convenience, for pricing, for, the price of when you're buying it at the groceries. And the nutritional value of seed oil is something that people don't even take into consideration. They just cook their potato chips in it. They just cook with it and actually don't even look at what it is actually doing to their body. And since I have been carnivore, I can really see how healthy tallow is. And I'm not sharing all this to you to try and persuade you to eat like me. That is not what this is about. This is about just bringing into awareness what we're actually putting in one's mouth and or on our skin and seeing how it affects the self, the whole being. And I I just see that it is affecting. I was at a nursing home the other day and I've known this lady for over 10 years and I've seen her progressively like go down the road where she has no control on what she actually eats because she has to eat what the nursing home dishes up. And it's just it's just hard to watch how her situation now puts her in a place of type 2 diabetes because of what is dished up. And it's just hard to actually see when that person has so no control over what is actually happening, but their situation is that they need to be in a nursing home. So I really hope that awareness comes from this episode and for people to actually start looking at what they're putting in their mouth and actually looking at the ingredients and what actually can happen to the body as these ingredients keep affecting the whole being on so many aspects. I feel like I've had a bit of a rant on my episode 50, but it actually makes me feel sad that I actually see how unconsciously people are doing it. They're having the Anzac biscuit because they feel it's exactly the same. It's called an Anzac biscuit. It's what, was made 50, 60, 70 years ago, but it's not actually the same product. It has so many other things put in it. And is this really making an effect on that person's health? And I believe it is. So my task, my intention for this episode is if everyone could just become aware of what they're putting in their mouth and really understand what is nutrition and what isn't. And I would really, really feel grateful that I could make a difference and just help humans to see what they're doing mindlessly. So I know this is a bit of a different episode to how I normally handle it, but it's really something that is I'm passionate about health, nourishment, and the nutrients that are going into our whole self. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. I hope something in this conversation stayed with you, opened something up in you, or simply made you feel seen. If this episode moved you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you'd like to continue the journey with us, be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Until next time, take care of your heart and remember, your story matters. Thank you.